And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. It is Tuesday, December 12th today, folks. Such a beautiful snowy day today here in Northeast Pennsylvania. We're joined today with Blake Alma, 17-year-old Christian TV radio host, hunting activist, creationist, and outdoor writer. He is hosting the show, the Outdoorsman Art Radio Show, as well as being editor-in-chief at Survivalist Daily, and will soon be producing and hosting a daily survival podcast for survivalist.com. Blake is a passionate young man about the outdoors and of God, the Creator. He has a great calling, and he says in his part of his bio, "I only wish that every child had the same passion and zeal towards the outdoors as I do, but modern technology has stood in the way of the Master's creation. Hence, it is my goal to bring back the creation of God back into the hearts of children and teenagers, to revive that dying art of an outdoorsman. That is my outdoorsman's calling." Blake Alma, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful mission and purpose, I think, that God has put in your heart. You're absolutely right. But we just covered an article by former Facebook VP executive that is now saying that he doesn't allow his children to use Facebook because social media programs people, and he's saying he's rewiring the social fabric of society, where we're getting these dopamine hits and we're getting addicted to these likes and hearts and thumbs up and all this, crap. And people are not interacting with one another. And of course, one of the beautiful things about hunting or fishing or outdoors activities as well. My father was a great outdoorsman. I myself love the outdoors. And one of the things that it has afforded myself is one-on-one time with my kids, being able to spend time face-to-face, even though they want to play video games and stuff like that. We have a Bushcraft Friday where we go bushcrafting on Fridays, and practice survival skills and stuff like that. But that is like you get to bond with human beings, Talk to us a little bit about your passion about the outdoors and why you're so into survival, et cetera, things like that. Go ahead, Blake.
With no doubt, the outdoors changes one's lifestyle. From personal experience, I think I've told the story a while back on this show, is that some guy took me fishing, and because of that one experience, it just changed my life a little. Did I know at the age of 12, 13 years old that I would end up doing something like if you asked me even a year ago, I'd be like, "Oh, do you plan to become a TV host?" I'd be like, "No," but the Lord blessed, and I've been blessed with the TV show that airs on the Hunt Channel, on Carbon TV, and now on Outdoor Active TV. So it's been absolutely an awesome joyride. But yeah, the outdoors is just a way of life for me. I just like going out there and just enjoying all the attributes there. And I think the outdoors is more than a hobby, or in my case, a career, and hopefully I'll make a full-time career from it in the years that are come. But I think it shows the glory of God and his existence more than anything else, because in the 21st century, you have people who are so against God that it's not the fact they don't believe in him, they don't want to believe in him. Sure, they'll deny that there's a God, but they know way deep down there's a God. So they try to bury it down in their heart that there's no God. And when you go outside and see all the creation, there's no denying that there's no God. And so it says in Romans 1:20 that the creation of the world was given so that we may be without excuse. And so it's very simple. Going out there and just seeing off creation is like, oh yeah, there's definitely a God. Just like when you see a building, there's a builder. So when I see the creation, I know there's a creator with no doubt. And not only does it show his power and just his existence, it also shows his love and mercy. Even though we transgressed against him from the beginning of time, he could have taken away all the attributes of the outdoors, but he let us keep it. So the outdoors is definitely a blessing in one's life.
Well, it's interesting. The Bible says that he made them male and female, not 68 genders and 72 genders. They're trying to push on the young people and brainwash them to mental illness. It's so interesting. What is it that you like about survival? I've been training in bushcraft with the online program with the Pathfinder School. They're also in Ohio. I believe you're in Ohio. Is that correct?
Yeah. I've had Dave Canterbury on the radio show. He's actually the second guest I've ever interviewed in my
wow.
life, and so he was a great interview. And then actually, I just got a message minutes ago, not even kidding, from a guy named James Hart. He was the very first guy that I've ever interviewed in my life, and he's actually going to be down in a survival show that I will be attending here in March in Dallas. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, the thing with survival, I would say it's like one of my first loves because fishing was ultimately the first, but I couldn't just go to the store and buy a gun, or go buy a bow. I was only 12, 13 years old. I didn't have the money to do that. So it was me going out in the backyard and using a rock and two sticks to make a trap for me to get my outdoor experience. And so I was able to do these bushcraft survival related things in my own backyard. And so I learned a lot more about the outdoors, doing basic survival stuff and just being out there. And then, of course, the benefits of YouTubing and Dave Canterbury on YouTube, watching some of his videos, has been very beneficial in my life. So, you have these, you just have all this online stuff lets you easily learn more about the outdoors. And so that's where I got my survival education. And now I'm teaching people online now with Survivalist Daily, as you mentioned. And then that podcast, survivalist.com, that bio that you have, I believe I sent that to you. It's actually a reasonably old bio. It's probably over a year old. And I am no longer doing that podcast. I'm not going to do that podcast because I didn't want to ultimately because they want me to do it every day. And I did not have time to do that every day. So I ended up not doing that podcast. But I still love survival with no doubt. That's one of my favorites, just going out there, starting a fire. I just actually bought some more knives. Just the other day, I went to a gun and knife show where I had a booth at, saw some knives I wanted. I bought those, but it's fun stuff, I'll tell you what. And then not only is it fun and enjoyable, it's kind of a necessity. There might be a day that you need to pull out your knife and flint and steel, an actual situation that you could end up in.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I found so empowering about it. I started training in bushcraft and stuff like that, and getting that dirt time in, let's say around 2013 or so, and it was very empowering. It was very empowering because I remember one time I went camping with my brother who was a big hunter. When I was young, when I was maybe let's say early teens. That's when I first caught my first blacktail in Alaska. But anyways, it was a different camping trip in the Adirondacks. And I remember him telling me in the morning, because I'm the youngest brother, he said, go out and start a fire. And I didn't know how to start a dang fire. I didn't know how to start a fire. I remember that when I was like, 12 years old, 13 years old, something like that. And I felt so embarrassed, and they were making fun of me. And that kind of stuck. And then I remember in 2013 when I started getting into bushcraft. Of course, one of the things that drew me to it was allowing, was learning the skills of fire making. That was always such a beautiful and magical thing. And of course, it allows you to thermoregulate and not get hypothermic, et cetera. Yep. And really is one of the lifesavers in the wild, et cetera. But wow, I mean, starting the fires with all those different multiple ways of making fire with ferrocerium rods and flint and steel and different techniques and primitive fires with friction fires and bow drills and hand drills. I mean, all this stuff was like this. It almost felt like the different degrees of difficulty of doing the same thing essentially. But it was exciting to know that there was levels of difficulty which you had to practice and sort of perfect in the end.
Yeah.
How was your fire making skills develop over time? And when was the first time you got your first coal from a bow drill, hand drill, you name it?
With no doubt, I've gotten better at fire starting. I just started a fire the other day, literally like 2 or 3 days ago, because I wanted to smoke my clothes and give them that natural smoke flavors,
Oh yeah,
favor. Yeah,
natural
yeah,
dry
just going
cleaning.
out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just going out there and wanted to go hunting, but I never actually did. Um, but it took me seconds to start that fire because I mean I've been doing it for a while. I knew how to do it, and I had the materials to start it real easily. So I use a ferro rod, which is just a flint and steel rod on steroids. I think flint and steel sparks about 1100 degrees, while a ferro rod uh, takes good sparks. I believe it's around 3,300 degrees. So there's a significant difference in the temperature of the spark. But ferro rods are also generally bigger. And this specific ferro rod that I have has something called fatwood handle rod. And it's made out of fatwood, which is the heartwood of a pine tree, which is a really flammable material. So it has that, already has flammable materials on it. But I didn't use that. I actually just used a bundle of hay. I literally strike that with my ferro rod, and that hay went up in flames. And then I built my fire from there, from a teepee fire to ultimately a bigger fire from there. But I honestly do not remember the very first fire I started off the top of my head. Knowing me, it was probably with just a lighter. But I've
Right,
actually,
right.
with a bow drill and whatnot, bow drills are very difficult. And you cannot expect to go out there and find a curved stick, a perfectly circled wood for making the kindling, and then a baseboard to get that kindling. It's really difficult, and you kind of have to build your arm muscles to do that. And I'll be honest with you, I've only successfully done that once or twice. I don't do it that much because I've never really needed it, because I have these giant ferro rods and flint and steel rods and lighters.
Yeah,
And
that's
when it
realistic.
comes, yeah, yeah. I mean, I would really hope when somebody goes hunting or fishing or camping, you have some sort of fire starting mechanism on you. If you don't, it's
Oh yeah.
not the smart thing you could do. And so it's a good skill and knowledge to have, but it's not always. It's not the most efficient thing because you're going to burn a lot of calories doing it. So if you
Oh
have a
my goodness.
lighter ferro rod, flash steel, match, it would
Oh
do
yeah,
you a lot
yeah.
better. Then a little trick I've learned, I think Dave Camberry has said this too, is to always carry a orange Bic lighter, a pocket lighter. Always
Yes,
carry an
right,
orange
right.
one.
Yeah.
If you drop it, you can find it real easily.
He
You
likes
buy a
flicking
camp
that Bic.
one they make, you drop it, you're screwed. So, you always want to get an orange one if you're going to carry a lighter. The ferro rods are just huge sometimes, and then you have flint and steel rods, which you can go to Walmart in the camping area and buy those for like I don't know, $10. And so, yeah, it's a good thing to have on you, especially when you're out in the woods.
Now, in the Pathfinder system, the recommendation is to have always three methods of fire lighting on your person at all times. And of course, I do that. I have a nice survival pants system where in my pocket I have basically a half-inch ferrocerium rod ready to go, and it's wrapped with duct tape at the top, so it's a nice handle grabber. But at the same time, duct tape can be, gorilla tape is flammable material as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But then I also got, obviously, I got a little Fresno lens in my wallet for solar ignition, as well as a Bic lighter. I always got a Bic lighter. Dave says he always have an orange. I've seen him with a brown. I've seen it. I've seen him color coordinating with his other gear.
Yep.
But yeah, it's very interesting because I think it was one thing I'm so grateful about Dave is that Dave Canterbury and Pathfinder School is that they sort of codified and solidified the needs of survival into what they call the 5 C's. I'm sure you're aware of the 5 C's, 10 C's. And if our listeners are not aware of that, it is, a cutting tool, combustion device, container, where you can boil water in or disinfect water in, cordage and covering or shelter, which is, of course, the things that are most difficult to reproduce in the wild. And if you have even those 5 elements, you can do a lot. You can really do a lot and smooth it, so to speak. But like how important for young people to learn this stuff. They never learn, like nowadays in the public schools, in the indoctrination camps, all that, the Marxist professors in college, the kids are not learning these skills, which could actually let them enjoy the outdoors, not be scared of the outdoors, and enjoy God's creation.
Yeah, right on. And I like what you said there because, kids and even adults are sometimes, there's like this intimidation of them going outside. And like they have this weird fear of the outdoors. I have a a
Yeah.
mosquito bites them and they'll get the Zika virus or something. And so, I mean,
Right.
I've been like, I'll do the radio, I do the radio show and TV show outside, and I'll get bitten by mosquitoes like a whole bunch, and
Well,
I'm still
ticks,
alive.
people are
So,
terrified of ticks, 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 ticks,
yeah,
Lyme disease, ticks, ticks, ticks. But like if you
yeah.
manage it properly, it's not bad.
No, this technology of off spray and bug spray and stuff is really great to have. And then I've tried this, and I think a friend of ours told us about this. I've tried it, and it seems to work, but I mean I haven't done it enough to say it does. A piece of fabric softener actually keeps the bugs off of you. So if you have a piece of fabric softener, like stick it in your pocket or something, and
Oh,
you
really
should,
interesting.
yeah. And then I know hand sanitizer. If you rub some hand sanitizer on you, it also keeps the bugs away. It won't last too long, but because it'll all soak in your skin relatively fast. But that seems to work too.
Now it's interesting. I like the non-chemical stuff because I'm into alternative medicine and I've been my whole family been into Asian medicine for a long time. So we like the alternative stuff. There's all sorts of like alternative sprays. We have a Native American brother out here who was a former Green Beret who produces something called Tick KO, and it basically is a natural environmentally friendly, so to speak. A combination of citrus oils and all this kind of stuff that you spray on. The ticks don't bite you at all; they stay right off of you.
Yeah.
So it's like it's interesting because even in bushcraft, as we were talking about fire, primitive fire is really overrated, and I think Dave Canterbury is the one that really exposed that and brought it to the forefront. Because a lot of bushcrafters were getting really traditional, and they were like, oh, you're not a bushcrafter unless you can do a hand drill, with raw materials or a bow drill. Give me a break. Dave would say, no, that's the most unreliable way. The most reliable thing is just to carry a Bic lighter and carry a ferrocerium rod. Get out of this mysticism of what it means to be an outdoorsman and love nature, and get to things that work. You know what I mean? You can still enjoy nature with a ferrocerium rod and enjoy a campfire with a Bic lighter. You don't have to be so sort of bigoted to think that the only way you can enjoy outside is to try to go tribal or primitive and do some hand drill or bow drill, and that's the only way that you're a real outdoorsman.
Yeah. No, I agree. Both the survival and outdoor industry, there's that, I'm a better hunter or I'm a better survivalist than you are because I do this and that and that, I might be better at this than somebody else is at that, and they might be better at that than I am at this. And so, nobody's better at anything. Like, people are saying, well, Jim Shockey's the greatest hunter alive, or this guy. I'm like, well, he's the most famed hunter alive, but he's most certainly not the best. I know people off the top of my head are better than Jim Shockey. So, I mean, with hunting. So, I mean, it's not a matter, of being better. You just have these more, famed hunters and famed survivalists that call themselves better because people can quote their name. Explain to me how that makes you a better survivalist.
Right.
And then, in the ultimate survival situation, if people know who you are and a survival situation happens, you should expect them to come flood your home. And so, it's. And I would love to hear how a survivalist plans on surviving millions of people at their front door. So, I don't think anybody's better than anyone at surviving. Now, it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, somebody in New York City, yeah, I'm better at it than they are. But me going to Dave Canterbury and saying to his face, well, you don't do it traditionally, would be wrong. And so, I mean. With no doubt, Dave Canterbury is one of the most articulate, well-speaking, well-teaching survivalists there is. And so, I mean, I think he's very good at it. And if you have not checked out his YouTube page, you're really missing out.
Oh yeah, big time. I really feel he's a real hero to a lot of young people, a lot of people who have been influenced by his videos and his free learning that he's giving to all sorts of folks around the world. And help them enjoy the outdoors. But getting back to one of the questions in survival is the question of knives. Okay, and of course, one of the issues, I guess, one of the big things in the survival community is that one knife option. What's the knife that can do it all? Which is the best knife that can do it all? Obviously, we know one knife can't do it all. But there's been attempts in the market, in the survival market, to create the best knife. Okay, and
Mhm.
I heard you just got some knives. Tell us a little about the knives you got.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impossible to say what the best knife in the entire world is, and what's great for every survival scenario. Because there's really, I mean, you want to have machete on you, then you want to have your bushcraft knife, and then you have to make sure you have a knife that can strike your flint and steel and whatnot. So I mean, really no best knife, but I mean, with all the knives I own, which I can say I have quite a few. Um, my favorite knife for bushcraft and survival purposes, I would say with no doubt is Mora knives, which is also what Dave Canterbury uses. And so I'm looking. I have a Mora knife right now in my hands, actually, and I will tell you what they look kind of plain. I'll be
Oh,
honest
I
with you,
heard the
but
click. I
they
heard the
can
click. I
do.
heard the click, man.
Yep, I just pulled it out. I was like, oh, this is great. I love this
I
thing.
heard it.
But
I heard the
it,
click.
it, it's made of carbon steel. They only cost about $16 on Amazon. They're this type of Moore knives, and they're bushcraft knives that can just about withstand anything. I was actually just showing my dad yesterday how sharp it was. Like at first he's like, oh, I don't care. Then after I cut through this piece of paper and how smooth it went through, he's like, oh, that's pretty cool. He
What is
started
that?
playing with it.
Is that the Mora companion you got?
Yeah, yeah, I have the Memorial Companion in my hand. I just bought another one yesterday. I don't know what it's called. It's a really small knife. It's really stubby,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's
yeah, that's the
super.
new one. Yeah, yeah, that new one, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just bought it yesterday. I didn't really do a whole lot of research, but I knew it was a Moore knife, so I'm like, well, I'll pay $40 for this. So I just bought it. But tell
No,
you
that's a
what,
cute
Moore
one.
knives are great because you can do just about anything you need to do, honestly, from batoning wood to manipulating wood to get wood scrapes from them to start a fire and whatnot. Really great knives. The only thing that I think could be better about the Mortar Companion, because they're only $16, is that the spine of the blade is
Right,
not too
right.
fine. It's not great for making fire sparks. But however, they do have other ones that cost a little more money that are fine, that are really great for striking flint and steel. But what I've noticed with all my survival stuff, I think utility knives, the ones with replaceable blades, box cutting knives, the spine of that replaceable blade makes a great striker. With no doubt, it's the best fire striker I've ever used. Is using the spine of a utility blade. It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you know
Um,
what? You know, it's interesting. You can. What I did with my companion, because as you mentioned, it's a rolled over spine on a blade. I just filed it down. It doesn't work. You're right. It doesn't work as good, even though you file it down. It doesn't work as good as like. I use my Leatherman, the saw on my Leatherman, and the it has an amazing 90-degree edge on the spine of the saw of the Leatherman Surge. It's a great, great device to use with the ferrocerium rod. But like it's interesting because there is this whole debate in the survival community, and of course Dave has produced like the PLSK Scout. I picked the one PLSK Scout, which is the Pathfinder knife, the big knife, French trade
yeah.
design, and now they have this whole Pathfinder knife shop where they're producing like awesome knives for like $80, 80, $90, and at the Car Arms factory here up in Pennsylvania, which my brother owns, and he owns a Tommy Gun, Thompson, Magnum Research, Desert Eagle, and Car Arms. And at the shop, I recommended him to carry the survival gear of Pathfinder School because, you know, I'm learning under their system. And, you know, people have loved it. You know, he's gonna be carrying like their Bushcraft basic knife, which is $90, but it's a great knife, starter knife. It's got a scanning grind, 90-degree spine. It's over 4 inches. You know, it's a high carbon steel to hit that flint spark. I mean, absolutely excellent things that they're putting
But
out.
sounds like I need to move to northern Pennsylvania.
Hey man, you're gonna love it out here. You're right next door in Ohio, anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
Like
awesome,
Dick
man.
Cameron, he lives way out more east than I do. He lives, I guess, near Chillicothe, while I live near Cincinnati, and so
Oh, nice,
live
nice.
so.
No, that's great because yeah, it's so important for young people to get involved in the outdoors and you know to handle these things. You know, there's schools up in Europe, I think Finland or something like that, that were pioneering teaching 5-year-old children how to use knives. You know, how how to cut vegetables, how to process a fish.
Oh,
And
I'm moving to Finland. See ya.
and they have like the kids do elementary school all outdoors. Even Japan is now taking up on that. The kids do not have a playground. They do not have a school building which they go into. All the learning is done outside. They have to have rain gear for when it rains. They have no playground, so they have to learn to play on trees and climb trees at 5 years old. I saw this one video where there was a 5-year-old kid like 100 foot up in a tree. And the teacher was not freaking out. And the teacher was saying, okay, honey, yep, just come down, right after left, right after left, left foot after right foot. There you go, slow, slow. And the TV reporter was freaking out.
Yep.
But that's the way to grow up. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how kids used to grow up. That's how we're supposed to grow up. Not growing up on Facebook, social media, and YouTube all day long, even though we're broadcasting on YouTube, I know. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, how do you get young people stimulated and encouraged to go fishing, hunting? A lot of kids don't like to go, they may like survival stuff and camping, but it's always a chore. Like I find even with my own kids, sometimes they'll come out to do bushcraft, but it's not something they really enjoy. How do you explain bushcrafting and outdoor stuff to young people?
I really think it's a God-given courtesy for kids to want to go outside. For the past 6,000 years, we've been doing that. In the past 50 to 70 years, we've kind of stopped, and so it's a relatively new thing for us not to hunt, fish, and go outside and enjoy the outdoors. My little brother will go outside. He'll lift up a log and find a worm. He'll just jump up and down, think it's the coolest thing in the world. He'll take it inside, show mom. Mom will start screaming to get that out of the house. But he thinks it's the coolest thing, and so. I know. I think one of the best way. I mean, I think you got to start them young, because if you don't, you can become my age and not care about the outdoors.
Right.
If I was trying to get somebody who's my age into the outdoors, has never gone fishing or hunting before, I don't think he'd really want to do it. Instead, he'd probably want to go watch a movie or something. I don't know. For me to hang out with him would be pretty interesting, because we would have the same interest, and so. That being said, I think you got to start them young. So I was real blessed, man. I was 12 years old when I started having an interest in the outdoors. So I would say that's a little late, but if you really want them to get outdoors, I don't have any kids or anything, but I'll tell you what, I think starting them out when they're young is good, and using technology is a great way to get them back in the outdoors, and that's one of the reasons why I like technology. Using technology to talk about the outdoors is because that's what kids love. They love technology. They'll be down on their phones all day, staring down on a game or whatnot. And I think using that device, whether that's me using a podcast or writing articles or writing ebooks or, having a TV show or whatnot, I think using that device is a great way to get them back in the outdoors.
That's so true, because young people, I think 12 years old is actually not a bad age to start. I've been a lifetime martial artist, and we train our kids here in our community in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, in MMA. I'm a brown belt under the Hinza Gracie line, under Master Jojo. And so I train them in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, also Kali Eskrima, which is a knife and stick fighting art. And then, of course, we do a lot of firearms training here, too, because, Car Arms and the Green Beret folks that are here. So we do a lot of like combat art training, which is of course great for young people to grow and become mature and come into the warrior culture, sheepdog culture, and protectorate culture, and really honorable culture. But at the same time, I saw, when I was studying survival stuff, I felt the survival was also another type of martial art. That's how I kind of contextualized it in my mind, because I felt, you're preparing to defend your life, or to be able to survive in a situation. And just like you would if you're a knife fighter, or you have concealed carry permit, which of course we encourage all peoples to have. And of course, our church, very, very highly armed church, but we encourage that because it's a God-given right. And survival is like the same way, to be prepared for any situation that you may find yourself in. It's not only about you in the end too, because God may call on you to be prepared to help another person that's in need or that's injured or something like that. And like, for example, last week, on Friday, we were training, we did a super shelter, Morris Kohansky style super shelter with a transparent tarp and the Mylar reflector inside. And we just had a bed of leaves, it was below freezing. We had a bed of leaves and a fire about 3 feet away. And all the kids, a whole bunch of kids that, experienced that. They went in with no sleeping bag and just the clothes on their back and slept in there for like an hour each. We rotated out. But these kind of experiences are really good, and it gives them knowledge and experience that normal kids are not getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I find it so valuable. There's studies that show that if you start too young, and like if you're forced into it too young, actually kids don't want to do it anymore by the time they're teenagers. So that's why, for example, we don't let our kids start training until they're about 12, 13 years old, where they want to learn how to defend themselves. They want to learn this stuff. With outdoor stuff, take them camping, hiking, that kind of stuff is good, even when they're young. But like when it's more hardcore stuff, there's studies that show that starting too young can actually burn you out.
Yeah, I can imagine, and then to add to that, using guns and fire starting materials is potentially dangerous, and so
Right.
makes sense, and so. But you gotta start them out young by, first off taking them hiking, like you said, taking them camping and doing that basic outdoor stuff. Let them go into the backyard, flipping a log, finding a cricket or a worm or something. So just give them that basic outdoor experience young, and then as they get older, I guess you could take them into, more in depth in the outdoors through hunting and fishing or any of those awesome outdoor activities.
Oh, it's so excellent. My daughter makes a cool little paracord bracelet, which they sell at Car Arms Factory, a Tommy gun warehouse store. And she when she was building these, she was like 12 years old, 11 years old. Now she's 15, but she builds the bracelets, and I wear mine all the time. Oh, I have it on this morning, but I have it on all the time usually. And it's got a cool fishing kit. It's got a little ferrocerium rod built into it, a whistle, a compass. It's got like 8 feet of paracord. It's got duct tape in it. It's got like a mirror for signaling. I mean, a really cool little kit. I gotta send you one of those, Blake. I gotta send you one of those. But very, this kind of stuff, doing this early, I really feel it changes people's lives, and it gives them less fear. You're not as scared as the outdoors. I've taken my kids wild camping, in the deep wilderness. We were in the Colorado Rocky Mountains, 10 miles in, hiked 30 miles with, 60-pound packs, 50 to 60-pound packs. And, they did a great job. And, we're not scared. We're not scared of the wilderness because we've done solos. We've done, you know what I mean, in the wild. And once you get over all that fear and all that mainstream media fear of the ticks and the bears are going to eat you and the cougars are going to eat you and all this kind of stuff is going to get you, you actually realize, wow, it's quite peaceful outside.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's always hyped up like, oh, as soon as you get out there, the black bear's going to eat you at night.
Yeah, well, that people think overrate the danger of specifically black bears. Now, grizzly bears, you don't want to mess with those, but black bears, are a lot more docile than I think people think. But yeah, that's true. People are like scared to death of bears. Now we don't have bears here in Cincinnati, but I know you got them there in Pennsylvania. And so I mean, yeah, it's true. People are oftentimes just have this weird scare of going outdoors, and I don't really know why, but I guess it's intimidating to them for them to go outside and be where they're supposed to be. And so I don't know.
It comes like you're absolutely right. It's like people are paranoid, but it's socially engineered because the mainstream media and people who study human behavior and people who like central planning and communism, etc., who get into power, they don't want people to learn survival skills. They don't want people to be independent. They want them to be dependent on the grid, dependent on technology. They want them to be in houses where they can surveil them with smartphones. They want a controlled grid. I mean, this is what the Stasi did. This is what Operation Paperclip did with the U.S. government flying in the Nazi scientists to take over our basically surveillance grid with the NSA now can spy on every single phone call and picture you take. I mean, this is what social engineers delight in. They froth at the mouth for is they want people in cities. They don't want people to be free. They don't want people with guns. They don't want people to live and be able to pursue God. They want you in a controlled, confined area. They want to surveil you. They want to be able to bring charges against you at all times. They want to rack up laws so they can make everybody a criminal, and get rid of their political opponents and consolidate power. And we know that this is the way Satan has operated in the real world. The Bible says we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers. And we know that these principalities and powers are really pushed by Satan. In the end, it separates us from God. It separates us from the outdoors, because that's a great window, and the tapestry of God's artistry is out there. And like you said, you're gonna start reflecting on the Creator or why you exist when you go into nature.
Yeah, I think the solution to all those problems is just going vegan. yeah, yeah. Just throw more liberalism in there, and you'll do good. But you're right. The world's kind of falling apart, and I wonder how close we are to the second coming and whatnot. But I'll tell you what, man, it's a sad world, and hunting has become impolitically correct
Right.
which is unfortunate. I'm not sure why, because we've been doing it for literally thousands of years. And for us not to hunt would be unnatural. So but all these anti-hunters and vegans are out there saying, "Oh, I'm a terrible person because I like to hunt." It's not like hunters shoot a deer in one foot, shoot them in the other foot, gag them around a little bit, and shoot them in the face.
Them.
No, you shoot them and they run and die. It's pretty fast. It's a pretty fast situation. They probably die, I don't know, in a few seconds. So I mean, it's very humane. So I mean, you hear all these things about, oh, you should go vegan. It's a more organic diet and it's more natural. That's bullcrap, because you gotta think about this. That you walk into a Kroger, or I don't know if you have Kroger's there in Pennsylvania, but if you walk into a store, all right, I just did this the other day. I was getting mushrooms, and it so happens that the vegan selection happened to be right next to it. And I kid you not, they had something called vegan bacon. I'm just like, what in the world?
Vegan bacon.
Vegan bacon. This is terrible. Vegan bacon. And
it's made by hydrogenized soy, which is really
so
poisonous
weird.
for your health.
Vegan bacon. And it gets me to think a lot. I'm like, well, if it's wrong for us to have meat, why are always vegans trying to make their food meat-like?
Tastes like meat.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, why do you eat vegetables? Why are you trying to cook your vegetables? Like my favorite thing that I think a vegan has ever said to me, there's so many things they've said to me, but my all-time favorite thing that they have stated to me is, like, Blake, you know what? You can go out and hunt if you kill animals with your two bare hands and teeth. You cannot use any weapons. You have to go out there butt naked.
Oh, that's very racist. That's extremely
Yes.
racist to say
Oh, yeah,
that. The African hunters have to hunt with tools, otherwise they'll get eaten by lions. What a racist vegan.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, you have to go out there and hunt with your own teeth and hands, and you have to kill it, and then you have to eat it, skin, hair, bones, and all. And I'm just like, okay, humans have never done that. And they're like, well, animals do it, and that's natural. I'm like, well, animals don't grow their own gardens, do they? Huh? They don't. They eat vegetables, skin and all too, and the pit and the seeds. You vegans don't do it, and animals most certainly do not cook their vegetables. So I'm like, it's pretty hypocritical for you to be coming from that.
They're carrot murderers, vegetable murderers.
Yeah, they kill plants.
They killed celery yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure what the difference is between killing.
I saw them molest
plant.
broccoli.
Yeah. And yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I don't say it too often, but I'll say it anyway. Is that if meat is murder, dairy is rape. And I don't think anti-hunters are all like they're drinking their milk, eating a cheeseburger while they're saying, "Oh, I'm an idiot for hunting." I'm
Well,
just like,
this is an interesting
uh,
point. Because the vegans will say, "Well, you're murdering animals," and it doesn't your Bible say, "Do not murder"? No, the Bible says, "Do not kill." Do not kill. And that's I'm sorry. The Bible says do not murder. It doesn't say do not kill. They always say, you're killing animal killing. I'm sorry, I said that opposite. The Bible says do not murder. It doesn't say do not kill. The Hebrew word for murder is ratzah, and that is a very different word from kill, because when you kill something, first of all, when you kill something or you murder something, that is an unethical action that's taken against a human being. The Bible does not say you can't kill an animal, because God commands sacrificial animals throughout the whole providential timescape with the Old Testament prophets. So it's ridiculous for vegans to even claim that the Bible says don't kill
yeah,
animals when
yeah,
he
you're right.
commanded that animals have to be sacrificed, before Christ, but in Old Testament age. It's just ridiculous.
You're right. And the Ten Commandments was the "Thou shalt not kill." It's like the sixth commandment or something like that. And
Well, that was the King
yeah,
James Version
yeah,
translation,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it
I use
means
the English
murder.
version as well. So um, the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Now, the Ten Commandments were not written for animals. They were written for man, for us to abide by. So I mean, if they were for animals, well, guess what? Animals commit adultery all the time. I mean,
Oh
they
yeah.
broke that commandment perhaps more than any other commandment. So I'm like, well, then, I mean, I mean,
Well,
the
and
Ten
also there's
Commandments do not
there's
apply to animals. So I
there's
mean, I don't
justifiable
understand why people
reason.
say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's justifiable reasons to kill. I mean, if somebody's raping your wife or trying to kill your neighbor, you can, in self-defense, kill that person, and
Yeah.
that is not going against the sixth commandment, because that is not murder. That is killing
No, I
in
agree.
defense of other life.
Yeah, yeah, right on. And I mean, vegans, most vegans are atheists. Just about every vegan's an atheist. Honestly, veganism is just a form of atheism on steroids. That since they don't have a god, supposedly, they turn to their animals. Oddly enough, and so it makes them feel better about themselves. It's called do-goodism. It's one of the things they cling on to.
Yeah.
Say, hey, look, I'm better than you, and I think it's kind of I
I'm
laugh at it
better
a
than you.
lot.
Oh my God, you eat
And
meat? You're a murderer.
Exactly. And it's hilarious because what makes that be? I'll say this, just like homosexuality, they're both unnatural things, being vegan and being gay. They're both very extremely unnatural.
Well, the Bible
And
says
then
being
they're very
homosexuality is an
prideful things.
abomination.
Yeah, exactly. They're actually affiliated with each other. If you read Romans 1, read Romans 1, and you'll kind of see the connection between veganism and homosexuality. So I think a lot of vegans are gays, oddly enough, but it's the thing that they want to be noticed. So that's why it exists. And then why does being vegan make me a worse person than you? What makes a vegan being what does veganism have to do with morality?
Well, it's
And it
really
has nothing.
works righteousness. It's like moral posture. I'm
Yeah.
so gentle and loving and non-judgmental that I'll judge everybody else who eat meat, but I don't judge because I'm vegan.
Yeah, so here's the funny thing. So, like I said, most vegans are atheists. Right? I've only met one so-called Christian vegan. He wasn't really a vegan. He was very nice to me, very kind. He agreed with what I had to say. So I wouldn't really call him a vegan. I think he was just on a vegetarian diet and just lives that way. So I don't necessarily have anything against that. But the idea of the religion, I guess I like to say, of veganism is what I'm against. And I mean, if there's no God, there's no law. There's no morality. There are no morals. There's no good in the world. And so, who cares if I eat meat or not? All right, if there's no God, who cares? And so why are you getting worked up about this? And so when they pull out the Bible on you, I kind of laugh. I'm like, oh, you don't believe in that, but now it's your last resort, and you're pulling it out and saying, oh, I shall not kill. Which I get that quite a lot. There's one verse like talking about like if you kill a man, you kill a bull or something like that. I don't know what the context of that verse, but somebody was telling me is that like, hey, if you kill someone.
Did we lose Blake, Alma? Okay, looks like our connection went out. Let's try to bring him back on. We're doing this all live, folks. No scripts, no teleprompters. We are live. Let's try to get Blake back on as he's finishing up his final point. All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
Boy, wasn't that fun shooting this Tommy gun today?
It's always fun shooting Tommy guns. This one especially. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
All polished and chromed up. It really looks like $1,000,000.
Yeah. Elliot Ness would have loved one of those.
Yeah, and it's available right now in your favorite dealer, and you go pick one up.
Yeah. Just have him call your distributor.
I mean, the gun, was initially made way back when, back in the 27 is this one.
Yeah. Model
But
27.
I was surprised by how quick it knocked down those plates.
Oh, 3.5 second run. Under 3.5 second run, knocking down a plate right. 341.
I mean, the gun is heavy. It's about, 12, 14 pounds, especially with this drum, but it's surprising how quick you can go with it. It would actually make quite a good self-defense rifle at home.
If I climbed in somebody's window and they were aiming that at me, I think I'd get out of there real quick. So
that sounds about right to me.
Just the intimidation factor alone.
Fire!
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. Second King Point Live to all the kings and queens of the Kingdom of God. Good morning. It is 7:28 a.m. We are once again joined with Blake Alma. We lost him during the past segment. Blake, finish up your final point, and maybe you could talk a little bit about your websites, where people can find you. I know you got a guy running at 7:30, which is just a few minutes away. Let people know how they can follow you on social media, your shows, and how they can get in contact with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for having me first off. So I appreciate that. So, yeah, you can go to my website, www.blakealma.com, which I think is there on your screen there. But if you go there, you'll see all the details about the TV show, the radio show, all the articles I write, my books and whatnot. And so it's all there. I host a television show called The Outdoor Experience TV, which airs on the Hunt channel. The prime time today is Mondays at 10.
You're on the Hunt channel, huh? Nice, man.
And then, yeah, man, and then we have a radio show on 20 different platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, and TuneIn, or whatever. You can go catch our show there. We'll put a show up sometime later. You'll see them on iTunes sometime later today after they air earlier today. So you'll see them on there. And so we had some awesome. We had a comedian named Thad Ranger on the show, so he was hilarious. That will air today. And then yesterday episode with Al Robertson from Duck Dynasty. He was just on the TV show yesterday.
Oh, and that's wonderful, man. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had some exciting guests in the show, and so yeah, so check out BlakeAlma.com. You'll see all the details about what we do. So we have a TV show, we have a website for that, we have a radio show website, and then you can see all the articles and books I have as well. So again, BlakeAlma.com, Alma spelled ALMA.com.
Hey, that's amazing, man. Looking good in that camo. Look at you with the bow and everything. What kind of bow you got there? Is that a Hoyt?
That is a bear bow. It's called the
Oh, it's
Bear
a bear.
Pledge. It's a smaller bow, but I love it, and I'm a huge fan of bear, specifically Fred Bear, and so
Oh man,
American legend.
I've heard so much about the bear bows. You know, we went traditional hunting like 2 years ago. One of the congregants here, excellent hunter. He got me like 10 yards from a buck. Unfortunately, it was too small. I couldn't hit it. I couldn't take it. But I was hunting with my Korean bow, man. The Korean traditional bow. I got within 10 yards, man. I could have bagged that so bad, you know, if God willing. But it was too small.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, Blake, a pleasure to talk to you and have you on the show today. Good luck with all the great things you're doing. I'd love to have you back on. We talk more survival, talk more about knives, talk more about some updates. Hey, we're going to be at Gunshot Show is going to be in late January. I don't know if you're going to make it, but you said there's also a survival show in Dallas in March. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's called the Self-Reliance Expo. It's March 22nd through 24th, actually in Mesquite, Texas, which is just, I don't know, 10 minutes from Dallas. And so I'll be down there. I'll have some buddies down there as well. So I'll have a booth, and then I'll be one of their, I guess, keynote speakers or something. So definitely looking forward to that. And then, yeah, that's awesome, man. It's going to be a fun show, and I appreciate you having me.
Hey, that's great, man. I think on April also is a Great American Outdoor Show here in Pennsylvania. If you can, you should definitely check that out. And also, I believe, Blade Show is in July or June? Blade Show in Atlanta?
The what show?
Blade Show, Blade. The knife show.
That's the NRA show, right?
No, that's not NRA show. It's a knife show. They have both survival knives and they have tactical knives, fighting knives, you know, martial art knives, etc. But it's a big show down there in Atlanta. Oh yeah, you would love that.
Yeah, I bet I would.
Hey man, it's been great to talk to you. You know, and I hope we can meet up in person soon at one of these shows. It would be great, and we hope that we can stay in touch with you. Good luck in all you're doing. God bless. You are such a exciting and an inspirational young man. Keep up what you're doing, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Thanks again for having me.
Okay, God bless.
You take care, man.
That is Blake
man.
Alma, folks. A wonderful young patriot who is out there doing it, and radio show creationist, hunting activist. Wonderful, wonderful young man, and we're so happy to have him today. Let's now take a short break as we reconnoiter just a little bit, and we'll be right back after this with more headline news. Stay with us.